know what she said. She might just change your life.
They've been doing so many studies recently, and actually they did one study in, I believe it was Norway, and they followed a large group of people, I think 1.5 million kids from the age, from the school age to about 25 years later, and they found of that there was about 300,000 or 400,000 people that had suffered some form of a brain concussion or a traumatic injury, and of that they actually found about 30 to 40% of those people suffered mental health disorders.
Really?
Later. Exactly. So the link is actually a lot more prominent than we realize. Some studies even suggest 30% are linked to mental health disorders. So you can start seeing mood disorders. You can start seeing depression, suicidal thoughts and behavior. You've heard about athletes, later on performing certain things that, are now being linked to possibly mental health from concussion.
Well, Dr. Sapna, you can imagine that all the parents out there listening now are going into panic mode, like, oh, now what, So we don't want them pulling their children out of sports. So what would you suggest would be a prudent way to monitor this as a parent? In terms of the research is still going on and we're learning more every day. So you don't want your children not to live their life. We don't want bubble kids. However, on the other hand, you don't want to overlook something that could be significant.
100%. And the point of this all is that we're not trying to create fear tactics. We're not trying to tell you your kids shouldn't be involved in physical contact. No. Not at all. The thing is, you just need to play smart. And how that sort of, can be ensured and guaranteed is parents need to do a few things. First and foremost, really making sure your child has the proper protective headgear. We invest
helmets.
Yes. Well, not even just the helmet, but we invest so much money in our skates, so much money in our, our other gear. But really, parents don't really focus on the helmet. And the helmet, of course, it's expensive, and it is something that you need to invest in. And sometimes our parents sometimes are like, well, maybe I'll just get the middle helmet, and maybe it did get damaged. Maybe I don't need to replace it. You do need to replace your helmets regularly. You do need to get a helmet that fits.
It's like the bumper of a car.
Once
the integrity is gone, you've got no protection,
Right.
even if all it requires is a paint job, even if it didn't fall off.
Exactly. And my way of looking at it is, if you did sustain a hit with that helmet, do you really want to take the chance and wear it again? It's like putting airbags back in the car. You want to obviously have them replaced, right?
Exactly.
You don't want the same airbags deploying if you got in another car accident. It's not really, something that you want to be taking the risk on. Okay,
so we're going to invest in decent equipment?
Yes. Now, the other thing that we really need to ensure from our parents as well as from, the actual like coaches and trainers, let's actually get baseline testing done. So it's really important, and I think I talked about it the last time I was here, that we do sport physicals. Getting baseline testing, meaning before you even start playing for the year, you get tested. And there's actual testing that you can do to assess your cognitive function, your memory, your overall, your overall neurological metrics. And then what happens is that if you did actually sustain an injury during the actual season, you can get assessed and have comparison scoring to see if there's been actual damage sustained, because otherwise, how do you really know if something is directly impacted from that concussion, or if the child sustained it from before? So now we're actually doing a lot of baseline testing. So before the school year even starts, we're actually making sure that children are getting assessed, and this can be done and organized through the coaches, through the trainers, through your doctor.
Click the channel subscribe button for full-length interviews and more from What She Said here on YouTube.